Welcome into the Sources Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball podcast on the KSR Podcast Network, presented by our friends at LG&E and KU. I am your host, Jack Pilgrim of Kentucky Sports Radio. Very excited to be joined once again by the one and only Shawn Smith. Shawn, how the heck are you?
Much better after a victory. How are you, Jack?
Buddy, I will never, ever complain at this stage of the season about a double-digit win over the Indiana Hoosiers, the point margin of victory, and the opponent itself. Yes, we know all of the above. We'll talk about how ugly it is and all of the concerns and issues and just everything, but just point blank period, this team needed a win against a team with a pulse so desperately, and they got one, Shawn. So that's where we're going to start the show. We're going to celebrate the fun times and how easy it was to root for this team for the very first time. I think just you talk to people in this fan base, that love this program more than anything, and just live, eat, breathe, die, sleep by Kentucky basketball. And so many people I talked to, Shawn, just kind of talked about how hard it was to root for this group at times when you saw the way they got down against Louisville. Yes, clawing back the way they did was what was intriguing and that was exciting in real time. But then you're like, well, why are we down 20 points in the first half and 18 again in the second to begin with? And you kind of see that theme with Michigan State and North Carolina, and just like 10 and a half minutes, like how there's not much to root for with this group. And then it just obviously hits an all-time low against Gonzaga, and that was one where I just kept hearing from fans like I don't find this group of kids likable. And then they totally flipped that narrative in the second half there against Indiana, knowing the obvious flaws with this team, knowing the obvious, like they can't shoot worth a lick right now. Creation is a disaster. Spacing is a disaster. We get it. Offensively, they just stink out loud right now. And Pope even kind of joked about it. Said like, yes, we acknowledge that we are not a thing of beauty right now. But it was really freaking easy to root for that team in the second half. And I thoroughly enjoyed the how. They got in the trenches, they got in the mud and beat a team with defense and rebounding and diving for loose balls and all of the things that we just hadn't seen with this team's heart. So big old golf clap there for the Kentucky Wildcats for how they were able to beat the Indiana Hoosiers there in the second half.
Yeah, they competed, right? Like that's what the final 20 look like, is they competed. And, Mo Diabate grabs a rebound with five guys in the paint and just wins it, puts it back, gets an and one, just huge momentum plays, down the stretch and then to close. And to me, Jack, I wasn't, as you went through the last month, because it was a long month when you go all the way back to Louisville on November 11th and you go through the closing stretch into Thanksgiving and then December, not a lot of good was there. And my thing has always been you can't change the long term until you change the short term, right? And you needed something in the short term to feel good about yourself. And I thought Kentucky got it in the final 20 minutes Saturday against Indiana. It's not a top 5 team in the country, top 10 team in the country, but it didn't matter. You needed to feel good about yourself. And I thought Kentucky did. And now I've been talking a ton over the last month about individuals finding identities, the team collectively finding its identity. And it may be time for Mark Pope and the staff to accept that the identity that they had in mind for this team might not be the way that this team needs to play to win games. And that's on them to kind of to shuffle and figure out the consistency there. Everybody wants it to look good. Everybody wants to score 90. I want them to look better offensively, but sometimes you got to be willing to win in the mud. And that's what they were willing to do to get some good momentum going in their favor. Now can they carry it over into another big matchup this weekend?
So it's a Coach Cal thing, but I know we heard year after year how much Cal stressed, like, you got to learn how to win in different ways, because he used to joke about Nate Oates before Nate Oates kind of became Nate Oates, that his system was he was a fraud. because there will be a day in the NCAA tournament where you're going to shoot 33s and you're going to hit 4 of them and you're going to lose by 20 in the NCAA tournament. And it kind of became a running gag until we started seeing the Nate Oates of the world start leading teams down along NCAA tournament stretches. But the general point remains that there will come a time in the NCAA tournament where you're going to go 3 for 15 from the perimeter, and you got to find ways to win in other ways. And I thought that's what made this one so special is, you heard all the talk all offseason about this, they believed in themselves as a top 5 defensive unit, believed that this was the best front court in college basketball. There was so much, yes, the shooting, and we'll talk about that in some of Pope's comments last night, especially, that kind of counter what we're talking about right now and maybe a change of identity. But you got to learn how to win in other ways. And I thought that just kind of embodied it. The way Mo Diabate just took the game over on the glass and finished hard. And it was the energy plays. It was just the toughness and the grit that we just hadn't seen up to this point in the season. That, Lamont Butler was on Pope's call-in radio show last night and said, that's what we were looking for. That's how you win games. It's everybody coming together for one common goal. And that second half stretch, it was, all right, let's throw everything in the trash about hitting shots and that being the way we were going to win this game. No, we are all going to one common goal of we're going to lock up defensively, execute. It was they executed their defensive game plan, Shawn, so well by drawing fouls, guarding Lamar Wilkerson as well as you possibly can and forcing him into foul trouble. All of the kind of key ticking points on the scout, they nailed all of it. And you as a coach, I'm sure you appreciated watching that execution.
I did because, we questioned the defensive. At one point we were questioning, hey, this team can't score and they can't guard. And to see them have some moments to where they can lock in, but it all starts with effort and the willingness to compete, right? When you're not making shots and you're not as beautiful offensively as what Mark Pope would like it to be, I said it on the last one. You can't allow that to travel to the other end of the floor to where you're giving up 90 plus. You've got to be able to lock in and stay engaged because you can still win basketball games even if you're not making shots from the perimeter. Kentucky found ways. It's getting to the free throw line. It's making free throws. It's rebounding at a better clip. What can you do to create some easy baskets? One, they did not turn the basketball over themselves. I thought that was a very important area in this game and probably will be moving forward for this team to have success. But they found a way to win in a fashion that going in, I don't know if we expected Kentucky to win many games playing this way. They've got athleticism. Mark Pope leaned into that athleticism in the second half, and it proved to be the deciding factor for Kentucky. Jalen Lowe, I know we're getting into some individuals and stuff here a little early, but still got to be he's got to be better. But just having his presence allows Kentucky to do some different things, and I thought that helped too. They'll have their moments, Jack, where they shoot the ball better as they get into league play, and on nights where they are maybe overperforming, they're probably going to beat teams. But you still got to find a way to win when you don't shoot it effectively or efficiently. And I thought that Saturday was a step forward in that direction. Now, will we see Mark Pope lean into playing this way? I'm to the point now that it's December 16th, and I've seen the results playing the other way, that I'm hoping that there is a willingness and an acceptance to say, you know what, this probably isn't the best selling point for recruiting, but we may need to play and win ugly because losing is actually more damaging to me than the style of play that I'm playing to win. And I think that there's a line there that you just get wins, just win games. You don't have to win a beauty contest right now because as long as Kentucky has more points than the other team right there at the bottom, the people in these comments are happy.
It also doesn't help. I mean, it helps tremendously, but the Jaden Quaintance factor, knowing that he fits into the new style of play infinitely even better than the old style of play, almost kind of forces Pope's hand even more so to say, well, we're already playing kind of in the trenches, playing in the mud a little bit. We're, leaning on defense and rebounding and kind of just rim running at the, those sorts of things. Let's go add a lottery rim runner, rim protector that does it better than anybody on the roster right now, and probably better than anybody else in college basketball for that matter. So how much do you think that kind of changes Pope's tune in the short term, especially knowing that we are officially on game-by-game watch? And I'll drop a little kind of nuggets here and explain the Jaden situation here in a minute. But just knowing that his return is imminent, whether it's Saturday, Tuesday, whatever, how that kind of impacts the style of play.
I mean, you're going to be adding a guy that plays above the rim. You're going to be adding a guy that is going to be able to dominate in ways that other guys on the roster can't. Defensively, you're going to get even better. Probably more comfortable in the middle third of the floor offensively, even though you're not adding a knockdown perimeter threat or anything like that, but you're going to add another piece that can do some things differently for you, that grabs some of those rebounds for you, that if you're not being able to run beautiful offense, or the terms that Mark Pope likes to talk about offensively, you grab rebounds and you get out and run, and that can get you some easy buckets. So I think getting JQ back or getting him there for the first time, it's a big step in the right direction for them from a talent perspective. Not many teams in college basketball at this point in the season is going to be able to add a player of his caliber, and that's going to instantly make you better. Not sure how much it changes what we're going to see offensively when it comes to how efficient and effective this team can be, but I think they get even better defensively. And probably, Jack, I think it even leans in more to kind of taking on that attitude of toughness, that this team's going to have to be tough. If this team's going to make the NCAA tournament and thrive in it, they're going to have to take on the mentality that they're going to out-tough teams. And here's where that comes into play. Now it's not about making and shooting 33s at this point for me. It's more about being tough, having a willingness to compete, and then late in games it becomes making timely shots. That's where your offensive execution comes into play. Do you make shots in a timely fashion down the stretch to close and put teams away? They did Saturday. They get to the free throw line. They didn't do that against North Carolina, a similar game where it was ugly. This one kind of proved to go in their favor because they made plays, but there was a different level of competing that went on in this one, and I think Jaden Quaintance will only add to that level of competition that they'll be able to have in games.
I want to ask your thoughts on what you would do if you were in Jaden's shoes and the people around him and Pope and all that as we decide the win. We got the quote from Pope last night that he's now down to days and hours rather than days and weeks like it was last week. So we are trending in the right direction, and I'll share what I know here in just a minute. But before that, LG&E and KU knows that when the lights go out, it can feel like a full court press, but staying in the know is an easy win. Update your phone number in the LG&E and KU mobile app or in My Account. If the power goes out, you'll get play-by-play text from 454-358 with outage updates, safety information, and time estimates for power restoration. Can't text? No problem. We'll call the landline on your account from the same with the same updates, so you're never left in the dark, because in the dark there's no defense. But with LG&E and KU, you've always got a team working to get the lights back on and let you know the game plan. Update your number today at lge-ku.com/outages. So he is fully clear. Jaden is game ready from a physical knee standpoint. He can jump, he can run, he can tear the rim off. He's sending shots through the back wall of the Joe Kraft Center. He's ready. Conditioning is a problem. He has not played in a game in 10 months, has been surgically, the surgery was 9 months ago, almost to the day. So there is a ramp up process where he's running well. He's jumping well. The lateral quickness is really, really impressive for this stage, but there is a general workload that comes with being gone for that long and getting back up to game speed. Now, does that mean he can't play 8, 10, 12-ish minutes? Like, here's play 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, 3 minutes there. I personally think so. But I think there's also kind of the St. John's factor of the emotions that go into this game and how important it is to win this game rather than obsessing over the minute restriction and, well, how long has Jaden been on the floor? Like, you kind of got to be all in. You got to be totally invested in this game because it's important. Kentucky has to win this game on Saturday. Do you want to be juggling the Jaden minute thing while also acknowledging that Jaden is a total game changer on the floor and can go win you that basketball game in Atlanta? It's just it is a push and pull, and lots of people kind of pulling in different directions with this one. I'm telling you, a decision has not been made yet on whether or not Jaden is going to play on Saturday. And there are some people, within this decision that are saying we're ready. Let's play Jaden. He needs to play on Saturday. He wants to play in a big high profile game. He wants to be kind of the lights, camera, action. He wants to be a part of this. There's also the other part of it of like, hey, we don't want to get caught up in the emotions of all that. Let's just punt to Bellarmine and let him go get his double-double and ease his way in. And then there's a 10-day break after that until we have to focus on Tuscaloosa and Alabama. So it could go either way. The difference, I think, and I think it's still early because we still have 4 more days left, including shoot around on Saturday, before we know for certain which kind of how he's trending. He is, for today was the first full court 5-on-5 full speed full contact practice that he had. So building and stacking days, can he have 5 full days this week to be game ready by Saturday? That still hasn't not been ruled out yet, but it is kind of nice to have a backstop of Bellarmine of, hey, we know that he should be good with a kind of an emotionless game against Bellarmine with the competition so low. But I do know Jaden himself wants to kind of play in under the bright lights in a big time matchup. So I think that there's just a lot kind of being decided there, Shawn.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing right now, given that you just got some momentum, right? And now if you decide to go with it, okay, how do you manage it in a game of that magnitude right off the bat? How do you figure out when? Is it a stretch maybe 5-6 minutes into the first half, and then you maybe get another stretch there towards the half, and then maybe one in the second? But I don't – if he does, I don't think it's any more than 12, 13, 14 minutes tops for the first game. Maybe – and is he able to impact winning right out of the gate too? Or is it better for Bellarmine to be the first one, and then you said that next stretch of practice to really get you in shape and get you geared up for SEC play? Because when you're talking Kentucky's front court, I mean, Brandon Garrison gave effort for the first time all season on Saturday. And that's just being honest. I mean, I was rough on him a week ago, so I got to give him some credit. Now I'm not ready to just fall back into it because now I want to see consistency, right? Can you put it together? Can you give me that effort every single night out? If you get that effort from him, then I think maybe I'm okay riding it out with how you had it against Indiana and now play him against Bellarmine, give him that game at Rupp Arena to get his feet wet, to then get you ready for SEC play. I mean, it's some tough decisions to make because you did just find a little bit of a rhythm in the last game, and you don't want to mess with that in this game. But then again, if he's available and ready to go and you turn around and you see that guy standing there, you're probably willing to roll the dice for a 4-minute stretch to see if he can give you a spark.
And what's funny is this time last week, Mo Diabate was trending to, I guess it was like Wednesday, Thursday especially, Mo Diabate was trending toward missing that Indiana game. Practice. He was doing light practice load, but was not putting himself in a position to be game ready for Saturday. And that's kind of when I had that first like, we could really use Mo Diabate right now. And Thursday, I actually heard that like, hey, he's trending toward being out. I would prepare for him to be out. And then Friday, he kind of gives it one last go, tests his ankle, responds very, very well. He has a really good practice. And they're like, well, then shoot around goes well on Saturday. They're like, all right, well, we got to win this game. Let's do this. So I do kind of have that in the back of my mind. Again, I'm very confident that a decision has not been made yet on Jaden for Saturday. I know there were some bogus, BBN nonsense Instagram pages and all that stuff saying that, I'm told that he isn't. I'm telling you right now, it has not been decided one way or the other. He hasn't been ruled out. He hasn't been given the nod to go ahead. This is a very, very big week of practice for Jaden to decide whether he is able to go or not. So would you if you were making that call, would you say screw it, we ball, or would you say I care more about his readiness for February and just making 100,000% sure he's not put in harm's way until we really need him?
I mean, it's not an ankle, so I mean you're talking about coming back from an ACL, so it's a little different for me because I know the confidence that he's building in practice is different from the confidence he's going to have to build in games, and I think that it's easier to set you up to build that against Bellarmine and inside Rupp Arena to give him some stretches there. And then you really gear up for that SEC stretch starting in January. And that's just me. I would like to think that you go into this one on Saturday with what you're rolling with. You've built some confidence. You stick with it, and then you ride it out and go Bellarmine and then beyond. That's the way that I would approach it. And then you go from there. And it's an important game. Like Kentucky needs it for its resume, right? Like we're talking, this is the last opportunity in non-conference, and this thing is shut. So then it all relies on SEC play. So I know the importance of it. And had they won like a Carolina or something like that, then maybe the pressure of having to get this one wouldn't be hanging over. Do you need him? But I'm thinking, like I said, change the short term to change the long term. I thought Kentucky for 20 minutes Saturday night changed their short term. Now, can they build on that to then change the long term? That depends. Now, JQ is still in the long term part of this, in my opinion. Like the best basketball of him will be coming in SEC play. It won't be Saturday. So is he able to make an impact to help them win this game? Or do you risk throwing off some of that rhythm that you established and you're playing such an important game? I would rather have that kind of be reestablished and kind of built within Bellarmine and then beyond than maybe Saturday. That's just my thought.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I see it both ways, and we have 3 more days, I think, to decide that, and maybe even 4 if we want to count shoot-around on Saturday. That'd be an early shoot-around with tip-off at 12:30. So Friday night we'll have a pretty good feel one way or the other if Jaden plays. But either way, it just feels good to have this kind of stage behind us of the Willie Woney, all the shade and sharp nonsense that we've tried to shut down the entire time about all he's just using Kentucky and all that. Like, it was all bogus the entire time. This kid has been dying to play from the very beginning, and just to be able to kind of have it within reach and know that his time is coming is a very kind of just rewarding thing, knowing just the process and journey that has been for Jaden. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully sooner rather than later we get to see his debut. Also sooner rather than later you get to enjoy with our friends at Factor Meals. Shawn, I know that you're a big time Factor Meal guy, and you got to enjoy yet another set of their delicious meals, because eating well around during the holidays just can feel impossible. That's why I use Factor's chef-prepped, dietitian-approved meals to help me stay balanced and energized through the most indulgent time of the year. Unlike most meal kits that require prep and cooking, Factor delivers fully prepared, ready-to-eat meals in just 2 minutes. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. I personally love the salads. I love to be able to just kind of have them while I'm sitting at my desk at work instead of having to prepare a whole bunch. They are ready-made for you. They're fresh, crisp. The flavors are absolutely delicious. I love the Chipotle chicken. Was absolutely just on fire. Just so good. Was there one that stood out to you this recent time?
Yeah, the Chipotle chicken for me too. And with this time of year, like, we got games Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday this weekend. So it's not fast food anymore for me. So Factor Meals is where I go to.
Yeah, I use this product, and you should too. I've done it, several renditions of it. All the the flavorful, as creamy when I'm not watching my weight and all that stuff, but also the light and super healthy options. They have a little bit of everything for whatever diet, whatever you're planning. And I know January is right here, so there's gonna be a lot of New Year's resolutions around the corner. So perfect opportunity for you, especially around the holidays. So make sure you eat smart at factormeals.com/KSR50 off and use code KSR50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code KSR50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. This exclusive holiday offer won't last. Lock in your savings before the New Year rush. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. I wanted Shawn to give flowers and credit where they are due, because we have all written off Brandon Garrison at this point. Just in terms of, I think, the possibility of him making the jump that we all kind of said, hey, best case scenario, he kind of realizes his potential and all the physical tools, that God-given tools that he has, as hey, you have a pro build, you have pro athleticism, pro skill and versatility and quickness and all of the things. Like, you have what it takes, but can you realize it within you to accomplish those things? That's still very much up in the air, Shawn, but a productive player at the University of Kentucky who can come in and give you good minutes, I think is still very much on the table. And he realized that after kind of hitting his own version of rock bottom. When you go, I mean, he plays 12 minutes, gets benched in the first half against NC Central. Like, how demoralizing, man. Like, you're a former McDonald's All-American. You have, expectations for yourself that this is going to be your year that you're going to enter the draft, and it's going to be just a perfect season. You step into Amari Williams' role. We saw him get drafted last cycle. It's like, all right, well, now it's my time. And then to get benched and replacing the starting lineup by a freshman, it could have been so easy for him to quit, give up, and say, yeah, screw this guy, screw this team, screw Mark Pope, I'm out. But he kept the faith and dug in harder. Pope talked about how he won all the sprints, after getting benched and all that, and it led to a legitimate breakthrough performance for him that felt like a sustainable long-term thing. Like, is that the Brandon Garrison we could see play from now through March, this upcoming the rest of the way?
Can he sustain it? That's the $1 million question. Can he sustain it? Now, do I trust him at this moment? One game's not enough for me to say, yeah, I'm going to get that same maximum effort. But if he is able to do that, Jack, then I think he has an impact on this team. And I went back and watched some clips and some things that I said about him when they beat Duke a year ago. And now he blocks a shot and then runs the floor and cleans up a miss to really give Kentucky a key bump in a stretch there late in that game last season. And I'm like, that effort I haven't seen this season, but I saw it Saturday, and there was some fire in it. Like, right, there was some celebrating, there was some will to win and the will to compete. And if they have a willingness to compete, and if he has a willingness to compete, then he's got a role on this team, because he's not the flashy guy that's going to do a ton for you and make a bunch of shots, but he can impact the game with energy, with some physicality, some toughness. And I know they're going to play better front courts and things, but they just needed something to feel good about themselves. And a lot of it is the battle right here. And I mean, they were beaten down for 4 weeks. A lot of it self-inflicted, but it was nice to see some willingness to compete from him. Now it's about, can you build on it? You don't have to be perfect, but you should always be playing hard. And for a stretch, he wasn't good, but he also wasn't playing hard to go with it. And I can live with half of it if the half is you're playing hard. I don't need you to make every shot. I don't need you to make every right play. I need you to play hard every single possession. And if you do that, then the game's going to be kind to you more often than it's not.
I also love that it lights something new under Malachi Moreno as well. Because like I kind of feel like, I don't want to say complacency, but you haven't seen that humming with Malachi. He got the starting job and he kind of plateaued a little bit. He was trending like sky high at the speed of light, and then it kind of felt like he got the starting job and he was still producing and doing some nice things, but that kind of humming that, all right, let's keep digging, let's see what more we can pull from you. And again, like it sucks because Malachi is still a freshman, and we have to acknowledge that he's gonna. I mean, every freshman in the history of mankind goes through some type of adversity, learning the college game and knowing, you know, the physicality and the speed and the pace and all those things. Like it comes at you in different ways, and that's kind of hard to navigate, and it's going to continue to be that way for Malachi. But all things considered, I love that the way Malachi was kind of nipping at BG's heels to start the year and then ultimately replaced him in the starting lineup. Well, now you got BG kind of doing the same, and you really want that iron sharpening iron thing, especially until JQ comes back. And then when JQ comes back, then it truly is all right, you know what you got in your superstar anchor in JQ. Now we only need one of you. It's not hey, we have to have both of you guys to help us stay alive against real competition. We know that it didn't really matter with the, you know, no-name guys, but against real competition, we need both of you guys to step up, and we have not been able to get the consistency out of both of them to have the safety net with JQ and then just say, hey, we just need one of you guys to step up against Alabama to start SEC play is a good little measuring stick. So I love it. I love that they're iron sharpening iron. They're both helping each other in those ways. I think it's excellent. Before we move on officially from Indiana and transition straight into St. John's, we touched on Jalen Lowe, but just remember, BBN, that this is the worst version of Jalen Lowe you'll see all year. He is very obviously rusty. I mean, he's missing bunnies at the rim. I mean, he's a 90% free throw shooter a year ago, and now he's bricking, missing free throws badly. Know that he's still knocking the rust off for himself and getting his feet wet and kind of understanding the pace and all that stuff with SEC play, now at Kentucky as well. So if what we saw on Saturday is the worst version of Jalen, where he's still a paint touch getter, he's still going to create, he's still going to make some energy plays and move the ball and distribute and do all of those things. He was amazing defensively. Like, Sean, that blew my mind. His one-on-one scout on Lamar Wilkerson, he was tremendous. He was very, very good, and we still haven't seen him be Jalen Lowe yet. So I do think that he's getting criticized fairly for just general production, but he's also being graded on a curve because of where he is in his recovery and the in and out that he's dealt with. So his time will come, and I think if 13 points, let me pull up the stats, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, and a steal in 24 minutes is the worst version of Jalen Lowe that we're going to see this year. I think he's going to be just fine, I think, in the long term.
His presence was the biggest factor, I thought. Just having him available and out there playing is such a step in the right direction for Kentucky from where they can slide guys in positions. But, I mean, we're talking 24 minutes and hadn't played anywhere close to that, obviously, since Louisville when he played 30 on November 11th. He'd been out that stretch, played 14 against Gonzaga. But those minutes for anyone that night were just kind of – whatever, because I don't know if we were watching individuals as much as we were watching just how badly it looked. And then 8 minutes the following game. But the misses from 2, I think, will improve. I saw a lot of good stuff defensively. I mean, we're locking and trailing on staggers and we're getting through. And, I mean, we're kind of buying into that end of the floor. The assist numbers will go up, even if this team's not an elite three-point shooting team. I still think that those numbers will climb. The rebounding is first position. I mean, that's a big step in the right direction too, because. And
he said, we talked to him about it. He said that he watched Mo Diabate be a freak of nature on the glass, and he said, "Hey, I want to get in too." So thank you, Mo Diabate, for unlocking that.
And then it's about timely makes, right? Like Maybe you're not making shots, but then in the closing stretch, you find a way to make that play that kind of pushes your team over the hump. And Jalen was able to make those. And I think it's a step in the right direction if you have a healthy point guard. And I know it's not 100%, and we're probably all holding our breaths right now to say, okay, how much can we get out of Jalen Lowe at his maximum peak before there's another blow to it? We went through the same thing with Lamont Butler a year ago, and you're just hoping and praying that he's able to kind of make it through, because he does change Kentucky. But for the most part, Jack, when you're talking about just getting him back, and you don't have the most beautiful offense right now in college basketball. It's not easy to score. And for half of that game, you were in the same thing where I felt like I was watching Kentucky, North Carolina again, where it's just like, man, there's going to be a long drought here in the second half that's going to get Kentucky. It didn't really come, though, because Kentucky was finding other ways. Getting stops defensively. If you're not good offensively, you got to be really good defensively. You got to be really good rebounding and high rate on the defensive glass. And then you become elite in transition. Can this team become elite in transition? It needs its point guard to get there. And that's where his presence matters the most.
We got the big one on Saturday, Sean, one that we've had circled on our calendar for a very long time. And then the second real emotional game for Mark Pope since he got here. The first one did not go his way in the head-to-head coaching matchup. John Calipari, that Arkansas match, like it just felt like Pope just didn't have it in that moment. This one's going to take that to a whole different level when you have your mentor on the other sideline, a guy that you welcomed in for your very first Big Blue Madness, a guy that has been instrumental in every single part of your DNA in basketball as a coach, as a player, as a mind. I mean, learning how to coach, how to operate a locker room, all of those things he got from Rick Pitino. And now he has to coach heads up against him against St. John's, who's admittedly struggling this season at 6-3. Still ranked number 22. They're kind of in a rock fight right now against DePaul, but it's going to be the return again. This is our second time facing off against Bryce Hopkins in another uniform after he started his career at Kentucky. We saw him at Providence in the NCAA tournament, and now we get to see him leading the Red Storm with 14.9 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2.7 assists. Really, really good all-around player. And Zuby Ejiofor, just a big hulking man in the front court there, 14.4 points, 7.2 rebounds, 2.7 blocks a game. I mean, he's very, very, very good talent there at the forward spot. So kind of a two-headed monster there. Ian Jackson's a familiar name, a kid that Kentucky fans desperately wanted as a recruit. We thought for a long time he was going to end up there, and then UNC comes in and steals him late. So what stands out to you about this St. John's matchup?
Can Kentucky win the physicality battle? Like, I think that's where it's going to come down to. Can Kentucky's front court withstand physicality while also matching it, right? Like, can you match physicality at that position? And if Kentucky can, then I think they've got a chance to leave with another big victory in the non-conference schedule. But that's the main focus for me, is can you carry over what you just built against Indiana? You've had a week now to prepare. You should be fired up to play and compete, with SEC play right around the corner as well. And did the taste of success get some of the monkey off their back, right? And the burden of just the last 30 days that they've been feeling. Is there renewed energy and excitement? I saw it in the final 20. Guys like Mo Diabate, huge for what Kentucky wants to establish and be in the back half of the schedule. Need guys like Mo to play the exact same way on Saturday with that level of energy. BG has to play hard. If BG is matches physicality, is this the game where Kentucky maybe has some success from three-point line? There's going to be games where they're going to outperform what they've done, right? Colin Chandler will come around like he had the hot stretch to start the season. Is he able to make a couple of threes for you? What do minutes look like for Trent Noah in this one? Like I'm interested too, Jack, to just see what Pope decides to do after the way he went and the route he went in the second half with who played. if you stick to that or if you go back into kind of what the model was for the first half. And to me, you found physicality. You found guys that were willing to compete and win in the mud. And this is going to be another game where it's going to be, to me, another battle in the mud and a rock fight at times. And you're going to have to win one probably ugly. But here's the difference. Winning ugly and losing ugly. Nobody cares about the second word if the win is in front of it, right? Like, we've seen them lose in ugly fashion, and now we've seen them be able to win in ugly battle. And the feeling within you when you see the win in front of it, it changes. The outcome matters. Not how you get to the outcome. The outcome is what matters. And I think that that's where – is Pope going to lean into it with this team? It might be the recipe for success for this group, and you're going to have to do it again on Saturday.
Well, I sure am excited to go down to Atlanta and see this one at State Farm Arena. And hey, you can too, using our friends at SeatGeek. I'm so excited to be down there looking at the prices right now. They're at SeatGeek, a get-in price of $73 to see a clash of Titan, just in terms of the storylines of Pope playing for Pitino and the 96 championship team, the 30th anniversary, all of the things that come with that. It is going to be an absolute must attend event, and you can do that. Give today's sponsors, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. They have 35 million downloads, the #1 rated ticketing app, more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports festivals, and more. UK basketball is here. The NFL is here. So many other things that you can use with our friends at SeatGeek, but nothing more important right now than this Kentucky and St. John's battle. So there's section 224. It's an amazing deal. Row R for $73 a pop. I love that deal. Make sure you go and click that. You can see the link in our description. You can go use our friends at SeatGeek for that. You need our code for that, and it's you can code KSR10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code KSR10. Make sure you click the link in the description, download the app, and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. So make sure you use our friends at SeatGeek if you plan on going down to Atlanta this weekend. Lots of talk, Shawn, about the matchup with Pope and Pitino, but the dress of Pope and Pitino. Do you think we will get their Saturday bests for that? Who will win the suit battle between the two?
I'll go Rick Pitino. I'm going to go Rick Pitino on that.
Will he go with his legendary white?
Yeah.
Does Pope do something flashy to try to one-up him? Like, I feel like that was one of the bigger talking points when they announced I remember Pope brought that up actually at a press conference about it. So does Pope try to kind of get in his bag a little bit there? How do you expect it to go?
He'll try to. Yeah, I think there'll be a level of competition on where he's going and who's best dressed. But I think Ricky P is probably gonna win that one.
We should have Pope wear a UK blue suit tailored to a T, looking just amazing. And we should get Rick Pitino in a all red suit and just have those two. I think that'd just be absolutely terrific. Can't wait for that head-to-head matchup. Got some scoop as we're going live right now. Second straight day that Mo Diabate did not practice, as he's kind of load managing as he ramps up and kind of gets himself back to full strength. So I wouldn't be worried about that, but just know that we're still kind of, the ankle issue didn't just disappear. It's definitely something that they're still managing. So keep an eye on that. JQ did everything. Full contact, full go, went through and looked pretty darn good. So does that change your optimism going into St. John's, either of those updates?
Optimism for a victory?
Yeah.
They need Mo Diabate. They need Mo Diabate more on Saturday than they need Jaden Quaintance at this point. And I mean, he was able to give it a go. He was able to go down and make huge plays down the stretch, and load management, to me, like, winning Saturday, you're not trying to win it on Tuesday with an ankle. You're trying to get to Saturday and give yourself a chance, right? And I think that at this point in the schedule, that's what Kentucky needs to be doing with Mo, because he is so valuable to what Kentucky wants to do from an energy standpoint, from a winning offensive rebounds, and just kind of being able to play bully ball at times, and giving Kentucky an added toughness that they were missing. When you're able to put a healthy JQ at full speed with that, then I think you're talking a mentality that Kentucky hasn't had this season. So I feel Mo is the more important piece to have on Saturday as far as availability at this point in the season. Now, ask me that question again in 4 weeks, and we'll see what I say. But Mo is very important. So I think having him available is probably the biggest of the two at the moment.
What do you think the opening line is going to be with our friends at BetMGM? Ken Palm, it looks like they like St. John's by 1 point, giving Kentucky a 46% chance to win, 78-77.
Maybe, is it open 1.5 in favor of St. John's? Is it that low? I mean, it's going to be close. What do you think? I mean, I've had people ask me about Yelovich and things, and about what the role could be. I know we didn't really dive into that as far as availability. Do you see that? My thought is there's going to be some guys on the roster, Jack, that still need to be ready, but probably more out of an availability on a given night, where maybe it's just a gut feeling we got to go here, and how they perform kind of dictates just maybe one individual game, that it's not more so of a rotational piece. It's just like a Trent Noah. When there's going to be some games in league play where you're probably going to roll to Trent. Does he make a couple of shots for you? Does Yelovich get a run because of foul trouble and things like that? There are some plug-and-play pieces that I think Pope's going to have when you get into SEC play. But as JQ comes back, there's going to have to be some guys slide that are probably going to be moved out.
I totally agree. And I think that there's still a window for some movement to, there was a time where it looked like my, Yelovich is going to trend towards starting. It like he was kind of stacking performances, and it was like, hey, but then he just can't buy a shot. Like there's so many things where it's like, well, we got to be able to make shots. We got to be able to execute within the offense, and you're impressing defensively, exceeding expectations defensively, but still not like an all-world defender. And if we're leaning more into defense and physicality and all that, well, that's not Yelovich. So if you're playing this style of play, and I guess we didn't get to dig into that part of it, Sean, that quote from Pope where he doubled down on this team's shooting struggles, saying, I've never had a team that the Noah results didn't transition and at some point in the season lead to a turnaround, and that the team starts shooting closer to what the Noah suggests that they can be. Do you buy into that? Do you believe that they can turn around? I'll pull up the exact quote while you give your spiel on it, but Pope has not lost faith in the slightest about this team as shooters.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think you want to lose faith, especially publicly, with the way that you view your team, because, I mean, I don't expect Mark Pope to ever sit at the podium and say we don't shoot it well, or this team's doesn't have shooters. But I do think that you're reaching a point here as the longer this goes that, I mean, we said all preseason I didn't expect Kentucky to shoot the ball as poorly as they have, and that I thought that it would kind of level itself out. And maybe it does as you get healthy, but they haven't shot it well. And it's not like it's been an inconsistency. It's just it hasn't been good. And that's where you're finding an identity, and maybe your identity at the midpoint and going into the second semester is, I didn't expect to have to win games in the mud. But maybe that's what makes this version of Kentucky basketball in 25-26 its best. And then you kind of readdress this in the spring when it comes to transfer portal, and you get more proven shooters in here for your next go around, and then you try to win with your style of play that you want to establish. But right now, I think when you sign a contract, you sign the dotted line at UK, your number one goal is to win, regardless of what it looks like. And that may be the way that they have to play to win. But I still like that he's confident in it, because there's going to be stretches where I think they are going to shoot the ball better. But is that more of an outlier or actually what it's going to come around to be, right? Now, when Colin Chandler shoots it well, or Denzel Aberdeen knocks down a couple, or Oweh, hits one a game, then Kentucky's 3-point numbers are probably going to look better. And when they do shoot it well, Jack, I think they're going to be in contention to beat anybody remaining on their schedule. The nights that they don't shoot it well, though, what is your identity? Are you going to keep firing them up, or are you going to have that toughness mentality that you're able to defend, rebound, and then execute and hit timely shots? Do the threes come when it's game-winning situations? Do you knock one down in the final 4 minutes or the final 3 minutes that separates you? That's probably what I'm looking more for from Kentucky in the short term right now, because I still think the long term is a toss-up, because I want to see what they look like when they have their full roster.
That's another thing to factor in. But Pope said, I think we can win games when we have that type of commitment to our team and that type of grit. It's not the way we want to have to win every game, but certainly I think that that's something we should be able to fall back on. There's big-time safety net for us in terms of just playing every possession with all the passion that we had. Here's that quote on the shooting that I want to get your thoughts on after hearing it from him. I actually think our team really isn't. By the end of the year, I think we're going to be a really dangerous we're going to be really dangerous shooting the ball. I do. I've never been on a team where the Noah numbers don't actually eventually transport their way into games. I just have never seen that. With that history, I have every expectation that this team, I think, is going to be really dangerous. I think for us, mostly, it's finding continuity. We have guys that are making shots consistently in the mid-70s that have not exploded onto the scene in games yet. That's just a matter of time. Buy it or no?
I mean, it's one of those things that, so if that's the way that you're looking at it, then what is it that's not transitioning to the game floor, right? Is the looks coming, are the looks different in practice that you're not able to get those looks in games? Has that been, does Jalen Lowe being able to play the point guard, does that kind of alleviate some pressure on some other guys that then allows, Colin Chandler and Aberdeen or whoever it is to get some opportunities? Does Otega Oweh's efficiency get better? Like I was looking at his numbers and stuff, and I think that if you get back to the Otega Oweh from a year ago, and maybe we're getting there, right? Is it getting to the free throw line for him? I thought he was so good at getting to the free throw line a year ago and then the 2-point numbers like this. There's just so many things that you can look in and dive into with this team to kind of make or break why they're shooting the ball so poorly from three. But I want to lean into Pope's confidence with it, because I'm not ready to break it, but at the same time, not force it that that's the way that I want to win. If that naturally comes here in the next few games, in the next few weeks, you've matched physicality, you're rebounding well, you're getting out and running in transition, and then you just so happen to start shooting it well, it's probably all going to look the way that you want it to look. But if you go over the course of the next 3 weeks and you don't consistently shoot it well, it might be time to start accepting, like, you know what? This isn't how we're going to win games this year. It may be how we win games a year from now, but what is the formula to win now? Because that's what Kentucky fans that booed just a week ago, that's all they want. They just want to win. They don't care if it's 33s up or if it's 13 threes up. All they care about is, do you have one more point than the other team on the scoreboard? And I think that those are the things that Kentucky found something that I feel like they need to lean into, while not abandoning everything that they want at the same time. You can be physical and still shoot it well. Like there's a model and a formula to do both.
Who, Sean, if there is somebody from that group of, Pope said, the mid-70 shooters that just haven't, it's just a matter of time for them. I'm assuming that's the Cam Williams, that's the Jasper Johnsons, that's the Trent Noahs of the world. Maybe there's Andrei Yelovich, I've heard, is a really good practice shooter. But of that, like, hey, we need more from you group, who is going to be the one that steps up and starts making shots for this team?
I think it's going to be Cam, just given the minutes and opportunities that are there. And, obviously a healthy, Mo Diabate and Jaden Quaintance coming back, there's going to be some give there somewhere on the roster. But for me, I think that it's him. I think that he's capable of making shots at a better clip than what we've seen. And this is where I still fully believe that the more acclimated that Jalen Lowe gets to things, that Kentucky's 3-point percentage numbers will climb, just given better feeds and guys and a guy that understands how to get you the ball in positions that you like. With Jaden Quaintance back at some point, Jack, you're going to have an above the rim threat that's going to kind of impact the game there. That's going to also be a transition starter for you with his ability to block shots and start transition. But to me, it would be Cam. And then you don't need, I don't want Oweh shooting 4 threes a game. If he's got his feet set and he's got 2 looks, take 2 a game. The rest of it, I want you getting to the free throw line. I want you getting downhill and doing those things. And then, Aberdeen doing his thing. Now, Jasper, to me, I know he's capable of making threes, but is he able to do the other things to get him on the floor to where it's a key rotational piece? I doubt that right now. So I think Cam, just given the role that's there, that he could continue seeing the minutes and things. And then if Colin Chandler catches fire for a stretch, then Kentucky's numbers are going to climb regardless. Mm-hmm. And he's capable.
Yeah, we're just not in the position of the season anymore to take risks and try out new things. We're fighting for our lives to salvage this thing. Now isn't the time to get cute with it. And it sucks because I want Yelovich to play a ton. I want Jasper to play a ton. I want everybody. I want this to be the 12-man rotation. Shoot, burn Braden Hawthorne's red shirt and see what you got out of him. I don't personally want that, but you get what I'm saying. I want all of these guys to prove themselves because I like all of them, but something has to give with a lot of this, and you do have to cut it at some point. And I don't know. I don't see the vision for it quite yet. Getting out of here. But there were a lot of questions in the chat about the recruiting, and a couple questions earlier about the article that Jacob and I posted last week, and just a lot of that stuff. And I do want to be careful with my phrasing and everything, but it was all I think there's a misconception about the purpose behind the article, and that was that we were doing some deep dive expose on JMI, and that we were going to just take down JMI. The purpose was to answer the question, why is Kentucky not landing these recruits, Shawn? Did the early signing period come and go where you're in the driver's seat for both Tyron Stokes and Christian Collins, and you eventually land neither? Why are you not picking up any sort of traction with any of the other 26 targets? You're not hearing a ton of buzz for the early 27 kids. What's Caleb Wilson and some of the other kids that you missed out on in the 25 class, and the early wave, that first run of portal targets that you missed out on with the Yaxels and the Donovan Dents, and you go through the list. And that was just our question. We didn't go in saying, all right, let's write a JMI hit piece. It was let's just talk to the people that turned down Kentucky, the people that are still in active negotiations with Kentucky, the people that said yes to Kentucky. I think that's something that people lost in the shuffle of that, is we talked to people that sent their kids and sent their clients to the University of Kentucky to play for Mark Pope. So there was no bias with an agent gone rogue, or frustrated with a negotiation that went south with Pope. This was everybody else's view and what Mark Pope and this staff's reputation is on the recruiting trail across the board, and what is to blame for a lot of it. And there in several different instances, the JMI contract and the language. Again, it wasn't about my interpretation or if I thought that the deal was beneficial to the kids, or if it was beneficial to Kentucky or whatever. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about the University of Kentucky. And if they thought that it was beneficial for them and it was a lucrative deal for JMI and Kentucky and their partnership and all that, it was the interpretation by the agents and these families and these kids as they are reading the language and saying something feels off. It's their job and their responsibility to relay that message to the kids and make them feel comfortable reading the contracts enough to sign off on the dotted line. And we just saw Christian Collins being the biggest example that a lot of people bring up in the chat because it's the most newsworthy recently, but he's not the only one. But that came up for him specifically as a, whoa, this is off. This is something is not right about this, and I need further explanation. And that is on Kentucky to make sure that they feel comfortable that, like, hey, yes, there are some restrictions that you may be uncomfortable with, but here's why you should be comfortable with it. Here's how lucrative this is actually for you. It's their responsibility to make them feel comfortable about what they're signing enough to actually sign with the program. So I think that just kind of got lost in the shuffle, that people just kind of made this out to be like, well, you're doing you need to explain the JMI deal further for us as fans. And it's like, well, that wasn't the point of the piece. The point was, why are these kids turning down Kentucky? And that was why. It was they were not comfortable signing on the dotted line with these contracts. So the biggest picture, Shawn, that I want to get your take on is that there are a lot of reasons to point fingers right now with Kentucky's recruiting operation. But at the end of the day, what has constantly come up is that Pope is overwhelmed by how much he is voluntarily putting on his shoulders, has the weight of the world, all of the pressure, wants all of the smoke whenever it comes to handling all of this business by himself, not leaning hard enough on his assistants, not leaning hard enough on staffers and basketball industry sources for intel, all of those things, that he needs a GM to take all of that weight off his shoulders so he can just focus on coaching basketball, which he's excellent at. He is a very, very good basketball mind, but there's a lot of stuff that he is way too inexperienced in, and he is drowning in a lot of different areas. So it wasn't just JMI. It wasn't just angry agents that didn't like how a negotiation unfolded. This was a lot of people in the basketball world that like Pope and want him to do well, but just feel that he is kind of just in over his head and does not know how to close at the negotiation table, and letting emotions get in the way and all of those things. So just, I saw some people saying, well, other schools, all they have to do is just print out the KSR article and show it to their recruits, and you're working against the Kentucky program. Well, no, that was that was Pope's in this staff's reputation already. That's what other people already thought about them. This was to let the message know to Kentucky that this is what people think about you. What are you going to do? Are you going to be, let these other coaches work with each other to work against you and leverage against you? And, had one person tell me that there was a rival coach that was actively reaching out to a Kentucky recruit and driving up his price and saying, hey, I know that Pope doesn't know what he's doing. He's in over his head. Let's just drive up his price right now. And you tell me what you want me to say the offer is from my school, and we'll laugh about it as your offer goes up to, the millions. It's that kind of like, hey, other people are pointing and laughing at us as a program, and we got to fix this. Like this is a broken system right now. We have to get this fixed. So this is a short-term PR hit. Take it on the chin. This sucks right now. We're getting made fun of and laughed at on the recruiting trail. Fix it. Figure out how to close on these freaking kids, and let's be Kentucky basketball again. End of rant, Shawn.
Well, and that means if you bring somebody else in to alleviate some of that pressure for you that has an understanding of how to operate this, right, then it takes it off you. You you need to be able to close the deal. It's about closing, right? It's about getting to the closing table and being able to finish the deal. It's the same thing when it comes down to a late game situation, Jack, and Mark Pope and this program has to close games and win them on the floor. You got to do the same in recruiting. You're battling. You're in the mud, as we've been talking about. Now you got to close it. And it's the inexperience of not having to do this at previous places, but here it's magnified because you're at a lot of important tables and you're able to get into homes and living rooms and situations that you weren't able to get to in the past. I believe he will get more comfortable as he goes on, but it's the same thing that I said a moment ago. You got to win the short term before you can win the long term. And whatever the short-term answers are to make you better at those situations now, you've got to figure that out. And then winning 1, winning 2 helps you win 3, 4, and 5. But right now they're not winning any. And they're not putting themselves in positions to where, like, the fact that they don't have a high school player at this point, it's putting a lot of pressure on you moving into the spring. And that's not where you want to be.
It can't be a moving the goalpost thing because they wanted kids signed by the spring. They have been pushing hard for this and they have been unable to, and that's the problem. It's like, hey, we got to acknowledge this head on. We got to embrace the facts. Like Pope at the podium was talking about DeMarcus Cousins kind of dunking on him about his team not having heart, and he said we don't shy away from facts around here. Well, here are the facts. This is what other people view about you and your program. How do you get off the mat and respond? It starts with a GM. That is the one thing that popped up in essentially every conversation. We're talking dozens and dozens and dozens of conversations that I had over the course of a month. Like, this is a very real thing. Everybody outside of the program thinks that Pope needs a GM desperately. In my understanding, there have been some, Pope kind of talked about it in the last press conference. I asked him about it, but there have been some preliminary GM conversations with maybe some new additional conversations with some familiar names and faces that have been kind of in and around the program in the past. So I would keep an eye on that. I don't know how imminent that is, but definitely something to keep an eye on. But look, everybody knows that I'm a diehard Kentucky fan. Everybody knows that all of this has sucked for me. Watching this team crap the bed on the big stage has been very, very hard. Hearing other coaches and rival coaches and people that like we are our direct competitor for some of these kids kind of pointing and laughing like that stuff has stuck and hurt in ways that I'm like, all right, what can we do? How can we all come together here and address the elephant in the room and get this fixed? Because I want Kentucky to get some dogs. I want Kentucky to win every single game by 10,000 points. So whatever we can do to make that happen, I'm all ears. But I'm also not going to lie. Like, I'm not going to just paint it as sunshine and rainbows and say that there's nothing to see here and everything is fine and dandy, because that'd be a lie. It is not fine, and we got to see what Pope can do about it. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. This was a fun show. Good to just get some good vibes with a win, talking about a win instead of why just this team can't figure it out. I'm very glad that they figured it out in that way, and it was ugly in the most beautiful way possible, because we got some heart, we got some passion, we got some fight, and we love to see that. So hopefully we get to see a little bit more of that on Saturday down in Atlanta. I'm heading down on Friday to go, get the lay of the land down there in Atlanta and get ready for that early tip on Saturday. Give me a score prediction, Sean. What happens on Saturday?
Ooh. Kentucky 69, St. John's 66. I went ugly.
Man, that is very ugly. I'm going Kentucky figures it out, and it's not as ugly as you say, but it's still pretty darn ugly. I think I'm going 79 77. I think it's going to be back and forth, and we figure it out there and hit the timely shots, as you said earlier about Kentucky shooting. We hit some timely shots, and we get out of State Farm Arena, go win this little pod of games, go 2-0 for the week, and then head into the Christmas break feeling pretty good, and then we will reevaluate things in SEC play. So for Jack Pilgrim, for Shawn Smith, for Stephen Peak behind the camera, make sure you go subscribe to KSR Plus. All the intel, all the scoop is there first. As always, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Make sure you like this video before you get out of here, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Go Cats.